Welcome to another edition of First Person this week from Sidney High School, brought to you again by the Crystal Room in Troy, Miami County's premier events planning situation right there at I-75 and Route 55. Call Jessica Brown at 552-7680 for your next event, big or small. They say events perfected, and they mean it. Again, I-75 and Route 55 across from Kroger's on West Market Street in Troy. The Crystal Room, sponsors of First Person. I mentioned a second ago that we are in Sidney this week, and first opportunity ever to feature Sidney High School football with the coach of the Yellow Jackets, Adam Doenges. I have to say, young man, that you have captured not only the hearts of this community with your record, and as we sit here in week 9, you're 6-3, but you have captured the imagination and certainly the attention of the football public in the 3, 4, 5 county area that is our market, with an impressive win over Pickle last week. I congratulate you for that, and thank you for taking the time to visit with us.
No, thanks for being here, and we certainly, it's neat to have the attention. For a while there, we never got the attention, and people always kind of complain that no one wants to pay attention to us. But you know, if you don't win football games, people don't really want to. People still got to sell newspapers and all that kind of stuff, and it's been neat having the news stations here and the newspapers covering our games, and everybody kind of wants to see what we've been doing, and it's been a blessing, and the kids have done a nice job with it, and it's neat to see the rewards that they'll be able to get off of that.
Adam, one of the unique things about your situation is it has just simply been a long time between drinks of water for the Sidney Yellow Jackets. I graduated from Pickle High School in 1970. I very well remember those teams in 68, 69, and 70 that went 30-0. Maybe it was 69, 70, 71.
Right.
But I remember Dave Haynes, the great football coach here, and some of the guys, Rosie Greer, Mike Flanagan, the guys that played here and went on to great things in college football and beyond. Why has it taken so long for that regenerate and rejuvenate the interest of football in Sidney?
Well, I think it's been neat. You know, we're in our coach's office now, and I'm reminded of every day when I walk in, because the coach's office is named after Dave Haynes and what he was able to do here in the 14 years that he was around. And our kids are reminded of it daily when we walk onto our game field, our practice field. It's 30-0 field, so you know that connection back to the history is there. And you know, some people say it doesn't really matter, but I think it is big. I went to St. Mary's, and that's built on tradition, and you have that aspect of those guys have done it, and you don't want to disappoint them, and we try to correlate that back to our kids. And it's not just the 30-0 field, it's the 1989 team that made the playoffs and had a run there, and we try to pull whatever we can positive out of our history to connect to our kids that there is a history there. We did an alumni 7-on-7 tournament this year. We had 40 alumni from the past come back and play our kids in a 7-on-7 game, and just trying to start connecting a little bit more back to the community, a little bit more back to the history of what Sidney football is. And you know, there has been some dismal years in there, and there's also been some positive years, and you try to pull that in a little bit. And you know, everyone's pretty excited, and it's neat to say, you know, we've turned the program around. It's 1 year. We still got to play this week, and if we go out next week or next year and don't have this kind of same type of season, you know, we kind of fall back into that trend. So we have our work cut out, and it's certainly neat to see what's happening, and hopefully the kids can use that in the off season and want to get back to that next year.
Adam, I have to ask the question about how many of your kids on the roster even know anything about 68, 69, 70, 71, or do they come from any dads that played back then? How many legacies do you have?
They know it quite a bit. You know, we obviously have some kids, and schools are pretty fluid, so kids coming in and out of our district and that kind of stuff. But we have a lot of kids that are Sidney kids. You know, the grandpas went here and that kind of stuff. And that connection's there, and we do a pretty good job of letting them know what the 30-0 means. You know, Dave Ross has written a great book about the first 100 years of Sidney football, and every kid that's new to the high school. So after their freshman year, we have our banquet. They get the first 100 years of Sidney football, and they're expected to kind of look it over and look back at our history. And you know, there is a proud history there, and I'm glad that we're able to start kind of building back up on that.
Adam Doenges, the coach of the Sidney Yellow Jackets, sitting 6-3 as we talked this week. You mentioned a moment ago you finished your season out this weekend, this Friday night, with Greenville in a pretty good position, because if you win, you're going to be 7-3. You get a little bit of help. You could be in that playoff picture. I won't have to tell you this. You know that. But what would that mean as far as just taking this program in the off season to the
Right.
next step and beyond, because, you know, perpetuity is so important. Can you
Right.
carry that enthusiasm forward?
Yeah, the last 2 seasons we've ended with losses to Greenville, and the way that G-Walk works now, they always have that natural rival is always going to be your Week 10 game. So we're going to be playing Greenville for as long as the G-Walk's going to be around. And it's neat. We have a little brown jug that we play for. That's a lot of history going back and forth there. And, you know, if you want to end the year, any year on a win. Otherwise, you got that bad taste in your mouth the rest of the season. And ending the year on a 3-game win streak, getting the jug. We already have the battered helmet from the Pickle rivalry back in here. And our kids really, one of our goals at the beginning of the year was to get both those trophies back in our cases. And that way we can remind everybody when we have basketball games and when we have baseball games, we can bring those along. And that's what's fun about high school sports, is those natural rivalries, being close to communities, playing other kids in other sports. And it's important to our guys to get those 2 trophies back in our case.
The thing that you have here that flies against the convention of football is you're winning this year, and you're doing this. You're building this program on the back of really young players. Andre Gordon, your freshman quarterback, Isaiah Bowser, your running back, ranked 5th or 6th in rushing in the GWAC right now, just a sophomore. Got a nice senior group of seniors here. Every coach loves his seniors.
Yeah.
But you're doing this with really young talent.
Yeah, and Isaiah Bowser was hurt all last year. He blew his ACL, and he would have started as of last year as a sophomore for us for basketball and football. And he didn't play either last year because of his ACL. So technically, he's kind of at the freshman playing level too. And you know, it is neat. Those guys are pretty talented. But once again, I keep harping, if we don't have the 18 seniors like I do this year that can, you know, step back and realize, you know, we need to have these guys play. Sometimes you have those seniors that want to gripe and go, no, I've been here. I deserve to play over that guy or this guy, over that sophomore and that stuff. And I got 18 seniors that have done a tremendous job. We've got seniors that are 3-year starters. I got a senior that's a 4-year starter for us. And then we also have about 6 or 7 of our 18 seniors that don't play on Friday nights. But they know their role during the week is to play defensive end for Lorenzo Tabor and to get him better at left tackle, to go play corner against a Daryl McNeil, who's a big-time player for us. They know day in and day out, that's what their job is. Their job is Monday through Thursday to get those guys ready for Friday. And if I don't have a group of 18 seniors like I do this year, I'm not sure we're able to do what we're doing right now.
You know what they say, winning solves a lot of
Yes,
problems
and it
about
does.
jealousy and
it
all
does.
the internal
It
matters
does.
with any program in any
Yep.
sport.
Yeah, it does. You know, and at the same time, we had a rough first game against St. Mary's, and sometimes in the past we don't bounce back too well from those kind of losses, an emotional loss to St. Mary's on our home turf. And I had a good group of guys that just came in the next morning and they said, we're not going to let this happen. We told them we have a chance to make a run our next 4 games and go into the GWAC North Conference 4-1, and we were able to do that. So it helped a lot, just the maturity of these kids, of what they've done the last 4 years.
Really one of the great stories in area football this year, the Sidney Yellow Jackets, and Adam Doenges, our guest this week. Best of luck to you Friday night with Greenville. Stay healthy, and whatever comes beyond that, you've earned it, you deserve it, and we wish you the best.
Yeah, we'll definitely enjoy this, and hopefully we can continue it on and get you back here next year.
I hope to be back here, and we'll come back many times. As long as they're winning in Sidney, they're happy here. It's a great story, and we're happy to be a part of that. This wraps up this edition of First Person Again, sponsored by the Crystal Room in Troy at I-75 and Route 55. Call Jessica Brown or check them on the internet. Use the link that you see here on Press Pros. Go there and get all the information you need about your next event. For Coach Doenges, for the sponsors, thanks again for your support of high school sports here every week on PressProsMagazine.com, and we'll see you back next time for another edition of First Person.